If you're looking for a Pinterest-approved scheduling tool, you've probably heard about Tailwind. In fact, you might already be using Tailwind and be looking for new ways to maximize your results with this tool, or you might be brand new to it, in which case I'm doing two things in this video today. I'm going to walk you through a review portion of the tool, showing you kind of the framework of the tool, how things inside of it work, talking through those aspects, and then I'm going to walk you through the second part of how I actually schedule my pins and client pins through Tailwind in 2024 going forward. The workflow is really simple. The tool is really easy to use. Overall, I really enjoy it. Without further ado, let's go dive right into Tailwind and how to use it in 2024. Let's talk about Tailwind for 2024. So first things first, your home screen is what you're going to see, and you're going to see your upcoming scheduled pins as soon as you log in. Now this could be scheduled pins, and this could also be scheduled Instagram and Facebook content as well, because you get all three platforms with one social set, which is one paid plan on this platform for Tailwind. So you can schedule to each of those within your monthly post limit, all three of them if you'd like to, and you can connect those. So right now what you're looking at are Pinterest pins, because I really only use this platform for Pinterest. And these are the posts that my assistant has scheduled for me. I go in and create the content, and then she goes in and she schedules until pretty much Monday of the following week. And we always usually have a minimum of one pin. Sometimes you can see here there's 2 pins a day. Now, you can click on any of your previously scheduled pins and change the date that it's scheduled for. You can edit it, unschedule it, delete it, and it's going to give you a few details right up here at the top. So you can see that it's a pin, it's going to auto post, and it's going to best online business tools. This isn't actually where I would want it to go, in fact. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that. So these are conversion campaigns. So we actually want this to go to the promoted pins on Pinterest board. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes on that because it's going to go on the same date and the same time. But you can see I just really quickly edited that and changed the board of where it's actually going to end up. Now I can click Unschedule. I can also drag and drop this pin if I'd like to across the screen. And there's no pin that's actually going out today. So this is actually a great time for us to go and create a Pinterest pin and bring it into Tailwind together. Now, before we do that, we actually need to talk about our settings on Pinterest, and we're going to come back to some of the things that you see on your screen right here, but we're going to first talk about the settings that you should set up on Tailwind for Pinterest when you first create your account. The first thing that you're going to want to do is set up your smart schedule. Your smart schedule is going to connect to your Pinterest account. It's going to find out when your people and your pinners are on time, online, the best time, and it's going to match with that according to your time zone. So first things first is set your time zone. And then with your Pinterest account selected here, if you have more than one connected, you're going to have to drop this down and then click Generate Smart Schedule. And then you're going to tell it how many posts you want per day, and it's going to put that into your queue. So if we say we want 3 posts per day and shift scheduled pins into new time slots, click Save Changes, it's going to generate a new smart schedule based on that. So you can see on Tuesdays and Saturdays, it looks like I have a lot more people online on those days. So it's giving me more time slots based on those. So now if we pop back over to our home screen, you will see all of those pins kind of shifted on the queue. Now we don't want all those pins going on the same day. We actually do want them to be going out on different days. So we're going to move this one to Sunday. And that way I have one pin at a minimum going out every single day. So that's the first setting that I want you to set up. Obviously, the next one is connecting your Pinterest account. Tailwind makes you do that right away. Now, beyond that, the other thing that you might want to set up are board lists, and you can't find those unless you go into the original publisher. So on the menu on the left, click Original Publisher and click Board Lists. There's a few different ways you can create board lists. You can see here on my screen, I have lists with single boards on them, and I have lists with multiple boards on them. These multiple board lists are really old. We don't pin pins to multiple boards really anymore. This is also a way for me to just group them together and find them easily. So I will, especially if my Pinterest pin title or board title is different than what I'm going to remember it to be on Tailwind, then what I will do is I will create a board list and put that single board on there. So I will not remember, for example, that the board is called How to Build a Sales Funnel when I'm looking to schedule that on my Pinterest pin, but I will know to type in the word funnels. So if we go to drafts, I just want to show you what this looks like. And we filter down into pins and we open up this draft right here. Now, we would give it a description and all of that, and we would come down here, and if I were searching for funnels and this board list didn't exist, nothing would come up. So let's just search for the word party. See, nothing comes up because there's no boards with the word beginning party or board list with the name party, because I'm not a party creator, right? I'm a marketer. So creating board lists, even with single boards, helps you to really easily identify what those boards are without having to remember the exact title of your boards. Now, those are the only settings that I really care for you to set up as soon as you get into your Tailwind account. Now, let's go back to our home screen and let's talk about your drafts. So back in your drafts, you can upload all of your content in batches of 10, so in bulk, in batches of 10, to Pinterest. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to upload that content, so it's going to pull it together like this, and it's going to upload that content for you in singles. And if you don't check that box, create carousel, when I clicked browse, and it popped up on the screen, then it's not going to create a carousel pin. It's going to create image pins, single image pins. And then you're going to tell it, okay, I definitely want all of these for Pinterest. And you're going to click either save as drafts, or you're going to click go schedule posts. So I'm going to click go schedule posts, and I want to show you what this looks like. So this is bulk scheduler, and this is going to allow you to add titles, descriptions, links, and boards to each of your pins and schedule them really quickly in one go. Now, back to drafts, because I want to show you one thing. So let's just bring a couple of those images back in again. So you see that little box right there? It says create carousel post. I'm just gonna hold this here. It's right underneath this blue dotted line. If you don't check that before you pull these images in, it won't create a carousel for you. Now, another setting that I want you to pay attention to, you can see here for post types, it has auto-selected pins for me. What I want it to do in the selection preferences is always select Pinterest pins. That way, I don't have to go in and check the box for each and every one of these that I want to create from my drafts. And all I have to do when they're done uploading is click go schedule posts or save as drafts. Now, I'm not going to save these again because I don't really want all of this junking up my drafts, but that is your Tailwind drafts editor. And I actually prefer to upload everything in batches and work out of my Tailwind drafts. That's how I schedule all of my content, and I do it in groups of tasks. So I do all my keyword research, I write all my pin copy, I make all my Pinterest images, then I upload them to Tailwind, and then I can quickly copy and paste everything into Tailwind, so you don't actually have to sit here and every single pin click schedule, add a description, add a link, add the board, add the date, and then schedule it. You can just do it all in bulk. Okay. Let's move on to your original publisher, because this is something that I've seen other Pinterest managers still using, and I find this to be quite odd. So there's something inside of the original publisher I don't know that you actually get. I'm going to have to go back. We can go back and look together. But this Pin Now button, I don't think that's actually available inside of the original publisher. But the original publisher lets you do all the same things. You can add a board, you can add your description, and then you can add a link if you haven't already. You can also then add it to here, and you can move these around. You can lock pins, you can unlock pins. This is really old school. I'm honestly still surprised this is even available. You can shuffle your queue around as well if that's something that you care about. And then this is pretty much it. You can also see your failed pins in here. So if you go to failed pins, these are pins that try to pin in the past, and you can see that these are all considered repins. They are very, very old. And all of these pins were in the queue and they tried to pin at some point and they failed. Now these newer ones, we can actually requeue that one because that's a newer pin. This one, we could requeue that one. We could requeue this one. Any of these that are newer, we could go back in and requeue again. You can also requeue all or delete all if you notice a lot of your pins are failing. Chances are there was something wrong with the Pinterest pin itself, whether it was missing a title or a board, somehow it snuck through and it was able to get into the schedule, but it wasn't actually fully optimized and it didn't let you schedule it. Now, this is all that I want to show you inside the original publisher. Now I want to talk about the Tailwind extension. So the Tailwind extension allows you to pull in Pinterest pins that are inside of content that you maybe haven't pinned yet, or you don't want to have to re-upload all the way into Tailwind. All you have to do is go inside of your Pinterest, your blog post, and pull your Pinterest pins using this Tailwind extension. Now, sometimes the Tailwind extension will pop up another screen here and you have to go through and do it again. Usually after you do it the second time, it'll bring up all the images on the screen and it won't do that to you again. So all you have to do is go and click that Tailwind extension. And if there are Pinterest pins within this post that it finds, it should pull them up in that little drafts editor. And you can see I had to scroll to the bottom, click it again, and I found these two images. And all I have to do is click Go Schedule. And it's going to pop up this little temporary screen here. And then you can either do one of two things. You can schedule them, publish them now, or you can save them for later and do all of the edits in your drafts editor. Now, one thing I do like about this Tailwind pop-up from the extension is you can actually add a board for all the pins that's the same board if you would like to. So if you want to pin it to the same board and you want to do that in bulk, you can actually do that. And it's going to tell you, look, this URL has been pinned before. This is an old indicator as well. It's actually very handy. It says you may have already pinned from this page on one or more of your boards. So on this particular board I'm adding this pin to, it's telling me I've pinned this URL before. So I need to be careful not to repin the same images over and over essentially. So what we're looking to do here is just add those, then we're going to click Save for Later, and we can come back to that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about with you is the Tailwind Analytics. So let's actually pop over, and it's called Insights. They're not actually called Analytics. So inside of your Tailwind Analytics, you have 5 tabs to choose from. If you've connected your website analytics, so through Google or whatever, to Tailwind, you can actually see stuff in that tab as well. We've never talked about that here on this channel. I'm not going to go in depth on it because I don't find it particularly useful. I just use Google Analytics myself. But what you can do in your Tailwind Insights is look at your profile performance so you can see growth over time. And then, and obviously this is for dates in between this 7 days. So if you wanted to back it up, you can back it up and you can see over time it's a growth projection, and that's great. There's a little bit of a drop off right here. Over the course of a day, something went viral and then it dropped off and then picked back up. Now here you can see impressions over time. This is very normal for my account, for my particular audience. And then if we pop over to Board Insights, you can see these boards that tend to be getting the most impressions or whatever, and you can also sort by these metrics. These metrics actually match your Pinterest metrics as well, except for pin count. That's not on your Pinterest analytics screen. But what you can do is you can choose boards and it will change the filtering down here at the bottom. So Pinterest Strategies for Beginners seems to be my top board right now. It's got 4.3 thousand followers, 35 pins are on it, 85 saves from it, and it's getting 53,000 impressions. So the pins that are coming from that board are driving the majority of the impressions on my profile. And you can see here, you can filter, I think you can filter down starting with impressions. Oh, you can't change the filtering here. You have to change the filtering here. I'm so sorry. But we're filtering down by impressions because that's what's on the menu, and it's going to tell you that these are the pins that have been posted most recently down, and then pins by impressions. So then you can go through and kind of match this to your Pinterest analytics. This is really useful for just seeing at a glance in a list what boards and pins are getting the action. Next is Pin Inspector. This is one of those situations where old strategy, I would have told you to come into Pin Inspector and repin old pins. I don't really suggest that you do that anymore. It's very, very outdated advice, but inside Pin Inspector, you definitely have that ability to do that. And you can see here the screen is actually taking a moment to load. There it goes. Now, the great thing about Pin Inspector is it does tell you what board your pin was placed on. How many saves it has, how many impressions, how many pin clicks, how many clicks it got, clicks or outbound clicks, and when it was pinned. And these stats are obviously for the lifetime of the pin. In here, you can add them to communities or you can reschedule them. Now, we're not going to talk about rescheduling pins today because I always suggest just taking your pins, creating new versions, and re-uploading them to Pinterest or through Tailwind and pinning them back to Pinterest. Now, a toggle in here that you may have noticed are pins that were posted by Tailwind, and you can actually go through and see what pins were posted by Tailwind and just filter those out so you can see how well your Tailwind subscription is actually paying off for you. Now, beyond that, our website insights, you just saw maybe a brief pop-up that says connect your website. I did connect mine through Google Analytics, and this is the data that it's pulling. Now, it's pulling pins from the domain. It's not pulling website insights. So it's not going to pull your website traffic and your website per post traffic or anything like that. These are just pins from your domain, and this information is feeding through into this little tab. The last thing that you might want to look at are your top 50 pins on Pinterest. So these two are actually an ad right now. I'm running ads to these. Then beyond that, these are all organic. And you can see one of my board covers is in my top 7 pins. And that's so funny because I teach on board covers all the time. These are top pins. This is really good information for you to come in and see what you can recreate. What pins and topics do you need to pay attention to? Those sorts of things. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is the personalization profile on Tailwind. This is going to be available right up here at the top of your screen. At least I believe that's where it should be. Now, I already have a personalization profile. You can see here there's a button that says customize your plan right here as well. And that might also prompt you to create one. But basically, a customization profile is a full funnel marketing plan for you, created in Tailwind. And they're basically just going to, once you tell it how many times you want to post, for each bucket of the funnel, each, part of the customer journey, then it's going to tell you ideas of what you can create for these topics. And it's just going to give you examples. So this is a really great way for you to create a more full marketing campaign without having to think much about it. So Pinterest is going to Tailwind is going to tell you, post this lifestyle content on Instagram and Facebook. And then on the next one, this is a blog post. Refresh an old blog post and interlink. It's going to tell you, interlink some of your posts. These are really great ideas, by the way. It's going to say, send an email to your list. The next one is going to be behind the scenes. Let's see if we can find a Pinterest one. Yes, here we go. Share your space, and it says Pinterest, email, Instagram, Facebook. And then if you refresh, it'll give you new prompts as well. Now, your personalization plan can also be found in your menu in the top left-hand corner. So this little gear icon, and then go into personalization profile. You enter your website, and this is where it creates it for you. And then that is what's going to show up here for posts in your upcoming marketing plan. Now, last but certainly not least, let's talk about Tailwind's pricing for 2024. Now, Tailwind has gone up in price just like every other platform has gone up in price over the years. When I resubscribed to Pro about a year ago, I was billing at $9.99 a month. So even this has gone up in less than a year's time. Now, this is on annual billing. If you pop over to monthly billing, you will see, sometimes their toggle doesn't like to work, you will see the prices increase. So you can save $84 if you switch to an annual plan. That's actually a pretty decent savings. So instead of paying $19.99, you can pay $12.99. And I always pay for annual because I just prefer to go that route. Briefly show you how I schedule my Pinterest pins using Tailwind in bulk. This is my start to finish process. So step number 1 is obviously doing all the research, and step number 2 is creating the pins. Once I have all the research and copy created, I have the pins created, then all I have to do is pop over to Tailwind, and I'm going to log into my dashboard, and I'm immediately just going to go to drafts. From Pinterest or from Canva, what I'm going to do is once these designs are done, I'm going to download them to my desktop, and then back over to Tailwind and back into Upload or Create. Now, once those designs are done, I'm going to unzip them on my desktop. So I'm going to come over here to my folder, and I'm going to drag and drop these in. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is auto-selected, is I'm going to immediately click Go Schedule Posts. And then I'm going to pop over and grab all my pin copy. I usually have this pre-written. I did not do that this time, so we are just working off the cuff together. I'm going to go ahead and just put the blog title in there, and then I'm going to just grab this little set of copy here. I was going to say that's too much copy. Make it 500 characters. We're going to back it off and make 500 characters. So immediately I uploaded my Pinterest pins, added title, description, and pin URL. Now, something I didn't walk you through in the review portion of this video was how to use Ghostwriter. So we're going to do that together, and we're going to do that with this pin here. Now, this pin actually goes to my Shopify store, so I'm going to grab the URL for that and place it in here. And then I'm going to grab the title of the product and put that in there, because Ghostwriter is going to use this information to help me to create a title and description. Now, warning, if you're an e-commerce store and you have your catalog connected from Shopify, WooCommerce, or wherever you host your catalog to Pinterest, your copy is going to overwrite from your store to your Pinterest pins. So you're going to do all this work for nothing. So I'm telling you now, if you have a Shopify store, WooCommerce store, or some other sort of online store where you own the domain and you can connect the catalog to Pinterest, don't waste your Ghostwriter credits, because it will be a waste. I want you to use these only for blog pins, catalog, or collection pages, other landing pages that you have on your e-commerce store, but don't use them for product listings because you will waste them. Using Ghostwriter, you're just simply going to click the Ghostwriter icon, and then inside of Ghostwriter, you're going to say this is informational content, or it's a product for sale, or something like that. That's going to help you inform Ghostwriter how to write content for you, basically. So if it's a piece of content, it's going to write content differently than if it was a featured product. Then you're going to add your phrases. So these are Pinterest. Let's turn off caps lock. Okay, add a few keywords and phrases. If you want to add a call to action, you can. I always skip over this part. And then click Generate Pin Details, and it's going to take you into 3 examples. It almost always is going to give you 3 examples, and what I would suggest doing is taking all 3, copying them out into a third-party document and saving them for later. Wherever you do that is fine. I always put them in some sort of Pinterest system because that's what I've created for myself and clients. And then you don't waste all of your credits. It gives you 3. For every 1 credit you spend, you get 3 options. So use all 3 options. Customize all 3 options. That way you have more to go around. You can go through here and you can choose one, and then all you have to do is apply it. Now, I always write my own pin titles because I don't like the pin titles that Tailwind gives me. So I'm going to always swap the pin title, which is why I always put the title in before clicking Ghostwriter. That way I can just quickly copy this back over, and once I'm happy with it, all you have to do is click Save Details. Now we're moving on to adding boards. So I'm looking for those boards that I want to add it to. So I'm going to add it to this board. I don't want to post it to Facebook. I don't want to post it to multiple boards. And then I want to use a smart scheduled time slot. Now it is Tuesday and I reshuffled those pins. So the next time that I need to post a pin is probably going to be Monday. Now, beyond this, there are a few things that you should know. If you are scheduling to multiple boards, so let's just do how to use Canva, it's going to pop up something slightly different down here. And it's going to say, hey, additional boards are optimized to pin weekly. If you click this, you can tell it to pin those monthly or daily. Not recommended. Weekly is probably the best, this is what Tailwind is saying, best experience, or monthly is for limited content. I don't pin to multiple boards anymore, but if you want to do that, you can. And I would say probably stick to weekly or monthly. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and remove that second pin because I really don't want it to go out. And we want to talk just briefly about communities, because communities and group boards seem to be making a resurgence in the conversation around Pinterest marketing. So let's talk about it. You can quickly add your Pinterest pins to communities, and they will not post into the community until the pin goes live on Pinterest. So this is scheduled to go Monday, July 15th at 7:42 Mountain Standard Time, which is the time I live in. And once that goes live on Pinterest, it will then put it in the community. Now, the community, you will then want to go back into and share pins out in order to be a good community member. Now, one of the things that I always tell people is you don't have to pin other people's content. But if you are going to take part in communities or group boards, you probably should be at least pinning things from those communities or group boards onto your own profile. Try to find things that fit within your niche but are not a direct competitor of you, and just put those on your secondary boards that you have on your profile. So an example of this would be if you sell resort wear and you don't sell hats and shoes, then have a board for those sorts of items that are available that you can pin about but are not necessarily what you sell. Okay, you're just going to click the button Add to Community, and again, it's not going to add to the community until the pin publishes on Pinterest. Then you're going to click Schedule Post. So for this one, we're also ready to go. We just have to choose a board and a date and time. So we're going to go in and we're going to choose a new board. And that other one was on Monday. Let's just put this one on a random date. It'll be Friday. And then you can see that those pins went into the queue. So Pinterest for podcasters and that pin right here. And that's it. That is how I am using Tailwind to schedule my content and my clients. Now that you've seen Tailwind's perhaps the same, but maybe it's new to you, interface and how to schedule Pinterest pins efficiently with this tool, head on over here and learn how to take your Pinterest marketing strategy to the next step.